Uh, I would say this is a bit of a lack on my part because at this point, and I may try to remedy this, I can't say I'm an expert on either what's in the vaccines or how they're going to function. But what I can say is, number one, if there's no virus and the Pfizer and others have admitted there's no virus, what are they putting in these vaccines? Now, the other thing I can tell you is when they do the trials of the vaccines, they are only looking at symptom reduction on, say, day 14. They're not looking at anything to do with a virus or anything to do with transmission or infectivity. There is no antibody test done. There's no PCR tests. There's no viral cultures. There's no attempt to assess transmission. So these are not actually vaccines. When you think of a vaccine, you think, I'm giving a measles vaccine, even though measles has been ruled by the German court to not even exist. But let's say it does, just for sake. I'm giving this vaccine so you become immune to the virus, and so you don't pass the virus to other people. But Moderna and Pfizer freely admits that they're not studying either one of those. They're only studying reduction of symptoms. Now, here's where it gets interesting because they say they're 94.5% efficient. Does anybody know where they got that number from?
I've seen Dr. Tina Moore on Instagram talk about it quite a bit. But aside from that, I can't speak to it well, so I'd love for you to.
Here's how. Everybody needs to know this. Let's do a simpler example. You guys can all try to answer it. Again, properly done trial, drug X for heart attacks, right? I do 10 people, I give them the drug, 10 people, I give them placebo. At the end of the year, 2 people who didn't take the drug have a heart attack. 1 person who did take the drug has a heart attack. 1 out of 10 in the drug, 2 out of 10 in the placebo. What is the benefit of the drug?
Joe, it's your turn.
Pretty minimal.
No, it's 10%.
It
right?
should be 10%. But would they compare the 1 to the 2?
Yes, they say it's 33% because the total is 3, and 2 of 3 is 66, and 1 of 3 is 33. Now, what if it was?
Oh wow!
What if you did 1 million people? 1 million people you gave the drug, 1 million people you didn't. At the end of the year, 1 person in the drug had a heart attack, and 2 people in the placebo had a heart attack. What's the benefit?
33.
33%.
Yeah.
Even though a normal human being would say it's 0.0001% benefit.
Right.
So when they do a Moderna trial, they do 15,000 in the vaccine, 15,000 in the placebo. 90 in the placebo get symptoms of cold, flu, muscle aches, which they say that must be COVID. Now, only 5 in the vaccine got those symptoms on day 14. And so that's a difference of 0.6% versus 0.03%, which is 0.57% improvement. But they say 94.5 because 90 plus 5, and 90 is 94% of 95. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. In the side effect part of it, there was approximately 400 people in the vaccine who got the same symptoms, fever, chills, myalgias, etc. So 400 of the vaccine and basically none of the placebo. So that was about 2% of the vaccine got a side effect. The same side effects as they're calling COVID, right? And so what's the benefit? 2%. So in the positive one, they do it by the risk reduction. In the side effect, they do absolute numbers.
Wow.
And they say 2%, that's nothing. But if you think about what happened, if you got the vaccine, you were 4 times as likely to be sick in those 14 days as if you didn't get the vaccine. That's the facts, because it's 90 versus 400. That's a 400% increase in symptoms. And that's the only thing they measured. They didn't measure whether it would make you immune. They didn't measure whether it would transmit. Now, I can even tell you there's very interesting ways of making people have less symptoms at day 14. So, for instance, you could put steroids in the vaccine, and then you'll have less symptoms at day 14. I don't know if they did that, but they could. Here's another way they could make less symptoms at day 14. You know, typically if you stimulate somebody to have a cold or a flu type symptoms, right? As soon as they're done and it takes a week, most people don't do that again, right? If you get a cold or a flu-like symptoms, you usually get over it in a week and then you're better after that. So you could stimulate these symptoms in the first week in people with a vaccine, and then you can guess that they probably won't get sick in the next week, and then it looks like the vaccine worked. This is scientific fraud, and they do this with every trial. If you look at statin drugs for heart attacks, they say it reduces the risk by 57%. Now think about that. If it was an actual number, that would mean 57 out of 100 people who didn't take the drug got a heart attack, and none who took the drug got a heart attack. And the problem is 7% or 94.5% don't get anything. You're never going to have a 30% reduction because nobody gets 30% of rheumatoid arthritis. And when I was in medical school and I asked them, how come you report the benefit in risk reduction, which is the percentage, and the side effects in absolute numbers, they said one of, I think, the 3 things I still agree with from medical school. The guy said, because nobody would take the drugs if we didn't do it.
Oh, wow. Jeez Louise.
And he was correct. Nobody, if you said to somebody, the benefit of this vaccine is 0.57%, nobody would do that. But that's the facts.